You don't like clarity, you lack safety. God is not calling you to try harder. He's calling you out of the wilderness. And if you're new here, I'm Shanice, and I help high functioning moms to heal so they can gain the clarity, the courage, and the confidence that they need to walk in the things that God is calling them to walk into this season. And this week's theme, we're talking about clarity, confidence, and courage from my new book, ebook, workbook. It's a workbook ebook that I just launched. I'm launching this Friday coming up, and it will be available. I pray that you're able to get it. And this is going to help anyone that for the longest you have suffered from lack of clarity, lack of courage, lack of confidence. You know God is calling you higher. You know He's calling you to do more, but you're having a hard time to see. You having a hard time to actually gain that courage to step out and do it, and you're actually having a hard time of gaining that confidence. I want to give you some encouragement. Confidence is not something that's given to us. It is something that is built. We all, right? All of us have a sense of self consciousness, especially when God is calling you to do something great. If you look all throughout the Bible, every time God called Moses, He called Abraham, He called Esther, He called so many people. The very first thing that they said is, God, I can't do it. They denied their own ability to do it, and that's because they were seeing themselves from the way that they saw themselves, and they was not seeing themselves from the way that God sees them, which is why God prepared us and He prune us and He mold us in the place of the wilderness. A lot of people think that the wilderness is a bad place. It's not. It's a place where you learn the voice of God. It's a place where you take off mindsets. It's a place that you gain that clarity, that confidence, and that courage you need to walk into what He have called you to do. When God calls you out of the wilderness, He's not calling you to prepare you for survival. He's calling you to possess the land. And many of us have not possessed the land because we overthink, we doubt ourselves, we be afraid of making the wrong decisions. We're hyper aware of other people's opinions because many of us, let's keep it 1,000, we're people pleasers, we're overthinkers, which is how trauma shows up. Trauma, see, the thing is, God is not trying to get you out of Egypt. He's trying to get the Egypt out of you. You overthink. A couple of ways that trauma shows up: overthink, overreacting, overeating, overcompensating, over consuming. We overly do things because our nervous system is overly working. If you want to know more about that, I just did 4 or 5 segments about the nervous system and the vagus nerve, right? God wants to heal that so you will be able to possess the things that He wants you to possess. Many women that's hyper independent, you exhausted. Many women, I just did a podcast about that last week. Many women are exhausted because we're trying to do it on our own strength and we're not leaning on God. And we're doubting ourselves. We're doubting ourselves more than we're trusting God, and we operate in this place of confusion. Confusion is always the absence of direction. Sometimes it's the presence of fear. Think about it. Every time you go forth and you're going to do it, you start doubting yourself. That doubt breeds you being afraid to step forward because you feel like if you step forward, you're going to end up missing God. And this is because your inner child is still wounded. Your survival girl is still fighting from being healed. Your survival girl is actually hindering you from healing. Why? Because she is too afraid of what vulnerability looks like. So she walks away from vulnerability. She walks away from saying how she really feels. She had this, now I'm good, now I'm okay. When she know deep down inside she's not bold. That was me for many, many years, right? You operate in defense. You always think people are out of you, after you. And the reason why you're so defensive, you're not listening to understand, you're listening to defend yourself. You have this sense of offense, anger, and unforgiveness. So it's not that you're unclear. It's not the fact that you wasn't smart. It's not the it's not the fact that I was unhealed. Unclear. It was because I wasn't healed. And the more I walked in clarity, the more I walked in healing, the more clarity I gained to what God was calling you to do. Courage requires your inner cleanliness. You can't possess promise while carrying poison. What's that poison? Unforgiveness, offense, anger, pride disguised as hyper independence. God is not punishing you in the wilderness. He's cleansing you from what He's called you to do. I want to talk a little second about Joshua. The one of the things that God told Joshua, He said, "Be strong, be courageous, do not be afraid. I am with you." The reason why I said you are not lacking clarity, you're lacking safety, One of the things that God has been restoring in me is safety. The reason why Survival Girl was created was safety. The reason why you keep saying that you're okay and you don't want to operate and you don't want to act that you're vulnerable is safety. The reason why you lean more on fear, it's safety. God doesn't command courage unless the promise is on the other side. Out of confusion, God is calling us out of confusion. He's calling us out of insecurity, and He's calling us out of fear so we can walk in clarity, confidence, and courage. But the reason why we're not walking in it is because He wants to heal and finish the thing that He started in us. One of the stories that God often speaks to me is the story of Esther. What I love about the story of Esther is Esther went on a fast, right? The Jews, so it was going to be annihilated, and Esther went on a fast. But before Esther went on that fast, I want to talk about her purification process. She went through a season of 6 months of myrrh and 6 months of fragrance. I will say the fragrance is restoration, and I would say the myrrh is dying to herself. She went through a place of cleansing, which that's what God is doing for us. Like I said, the more healing I got, the more clarity I began to have. When she went through that cleansing, clarity was cleansing. Confidence was her identity restoration. And courage was her inner safety that she had. She knew that God had her back. Now, one thing I noticed about this story, you don't see it planned out. You don't hear them talking about God nowhere. However, you don't hear them talking about God, but God is all through it because they said Esther went on a fast. And what I loved about that, and what I noticed about when Esther went on this fast, that she came out, they said on the third day she put on her royal coat. So when she went in, she probably had some little timid in her. But one thing I noticed, she gained clarity. Why did she gain clarity? Because she had strategy. That strategy told her mind, she ended up calling her husband or the king in the inner courts for 3 days. She could have told him the first day, but she didn't. She could have told him the second day, but she didn't. She told him on the third day. Why? She was strategic. She had clarity. She was gaining courage. Why? Because she was totally dependent on God. So when you are showing up and when you don't have that inner safety, it shows up with lack of nervous system regulation. Your heart posture needs to be healed. Your mind needs to be renewed. Your soul needs to be restored. So as you operate in safety, you will begin to operate in a place of clarity, gaining that clarity. For many years, I was often indecisive. When I tell y'all, if indecisive and double-mindedness was a person, it will have my face on that. Now, I want you to understand something. I talked about the inner child, and I also talked about survival girl. Survival girl and your inner child, they're fighting. They're fighting from a place of, they fighting for a place. They both want safety. They both want to be heard. They both want to be seen. But your survival girl is too afraid to be vulnerable. And then you have your inner child saying, we was taught to be quiet. We was taught to what happens in this house stays in this house. So when you are in a place of wilderness, know that God is cleansing you. So when you say, man, I lack courage, man, I lack clarity, man, I lack confidence, it's going to come from your place of surrendering and healing, right? So I want you to understand something. When she went through this shift, right? When Queen Esther went through this shift, what happened? Her heart posture, her mind was renewed. Why? They said that she put on her royal coat. In the Bible, it tells us to take off the old man and put on our new man. What was she taking off? Mindsets. You have to understand the story of Esther. Esther was an orphan. Do you know the mindsets that come with being an orphan? Do you know the number one way when God is calling us out of the wilderness, He's calling us to a place of sonship. I want you to understand that He's calling you from a place of orphanhood to a place of sonship. Whatever an orphan does, they always think people are out for them, and they often feel alone. That's why we are high functioning women, because we feel like we got to do it on our own, and God is calling us out of that, because once He's called us out of that, we'll be able to see the things that He wants us to do. That back to my indecisiveness. I was so indecisive. I kid y'all not, I will try to come up with a decision, and as I would try to come up with a decision, I will call around to everybody. Hey, what you think I should do? Hey, what you think I should do? Hey, what you think I should do? And baby, when I got off that phone, I was more confused than when I was on that phone. Why? Because I was not trusting my inner wisdom that God was telling me. I was not trusting the voice of God because for some reason I thought I did not hear the voice of God. But the crazy part about it, I will go give other people advice and believe in the advice I'm giving them, but I was not believing in the voice that God was speaking to me. I was not believing in the confidence that God was rebuilding in me. I was not believing in the things that I was seeing, which brings me to my next point, and I'm ending here. Jeremiah. When God was calling Jeremiah, he said, "What do you see?" And they went back and forth for a little second. God told him, he said, "What do you see?" He said, "I see two olive trees." And then he asked him again, "What do you see?" He said, now I'm paraphrasing here. He said, "I see um boiling two pots boiling over." And he told him, "You have seen well." That's our perspectives. When trauma have distorted your perspectives, you're not able to see. So it's not the fact that you're confused. It's not the fact that you don't know. You lack courage and you lack confidence. And because of that, you questioning what you're seeing. And in order for you to be able to see, in order for you to be able to walk in courage, in order for you to be able to walk in confidence, you have to believe in what God is showing you. You have to believe that God is God, and you have to believe and surrender to the healing process that He's giving you in the wilderness. You will no longer operate in exhaustion due to overthinking, no longer proving yourself, no longer fighting to survive. You are in on a journey to becoming clean, healed, and courageous. I want you to begin to move in peace, authority, and obey with boldness. What does that look like? When God is telling you to step out and do something, you are to obey Him and do it. Are you still surviving, or are you ready to possess the things that God has for you with clarity, courage, and confidence?